REST services and MDriven Turnkey. So REST is a very powerful, simple way to access web services on the web and retrieving information from really anyone. So there's a growing catalog of available web services that deliver REST type messages. Just to name a few, you could get things from Spotify to get artists or seek their catalog with REST interfaces. You could call on services to upload Word documents to get a PDF in return. You could request email sent in your name, etc. So it's a very powerful way to get both information and functionality from other providers. So how does it work with MDriven Turnkey? Well, there are actually two kinds of needs. One kind is calling existing REST services, and the other one is to expose ourselves as REST services. So we're gonna look at both today, and there's a new article out, REST services in MDriven Turnkey. So calling an existing REST service. There are new OCL operators on the self VM class. So you can call a target URL and get data back. And you could post to a target URL, or you can download. And this is the case when you have requested something bigger, like a file being produced for you or something. There's also a method to convert JSON that you have in a string to objects in your model, so that it will be easier to work with the data with the tools you know from MDriven Designer. And the second thing that we're going to talk about is exposing ourselves as REST services. And this is actually a functionality of MDriven Turnkey. So there's an MDriven REST with a get, and that takes a command, which actually is a view model name and a root object. And there is an MDriven post. And we're going to see how these two simple MVC verbs will actually solve, I believe, all problems for us. So let's dive into some example. I have this model from before. It resides in my MDriven Turnkey 006 app slot, and it has a few things like show all cars, and once on a car you could click it and view edit one car, and then it has the override, and I don't want this in this case, so I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna go off screen. So I'm back, and this is the default view that was rendered for us, given the model, the view model, that looked like this. right? So what we can do now is to try and access this information. Try to expose this same information as a REST service. In order to do that, we need to select the head of the view model and set this new property. This is initially false, but if we want a view to act as a data source available from a REST request, we need to set REST allowed to true, like that. And once we have done that, I'm also gonna remove this action, just not to confuse. We're gonna come back to this later. So I'm just setting a comment on this one, and it should do, I guess, something to be okay. We're gonna leave it like that. So can we return this information as REST? Well, now we have said that it was allow REST. So we're gonna upload that so that our turnkey site works on this new model. And check status, and we're done. To get this, we could simply try and access our site with the new strategy that was said here, MDriven REST get, like this. Like so, but we want to have this view model and this root object. So let's paste in the view model name and the root object reference. That shouldn't be there, like this. Executing that returns our data as a REST document. So let's check this out. Registration number FFFXY. If I were to change it here to my new car is FPT128. That's really cool because that's almost as FTP, and 128 is a really important number to me because it's, well, binary. So I'm quite happy with my registration number on my new car. That's finally one I can remember. I'm gonna save that, and as I have saved that and hit this one again, I can see that it updates. Okay, so this is one way to expose ourselves as a REST service. Let's try and consume ourselves. Ooh, that sounds weird, but what I mean is that we could add a view model. Well, if I'm not locked by the model dialog, let's add a new view model, and let's call this consume ourselves. Weird. And I'm gonna root that in car and say that let's add a class action for show, meaning that whenever we see a car, there should be an action that could take us here, like that. Having done that, I should see that there is a class action car view consume self, and if I wanted to fix up that action, I could do that here, calling it something else. But this is fine. So what I want to do here is I could add the registration number just to see that we have it, and then I could add a column prepared for action, which really is a generic column with this one checked, and try and get by rest. So that's an action that we're gonna call to try and consume, to get this information. So basically we would want to do this in here, and self VM is the one that has the new REST operators, REST get, and I might have been a little fast because REST get, if I point at this, I see the tooltips stating that the first argument is the target URL, then it's a user and a password, and then it's the name of a nesting. So for now I'm just gonna use the target URL, that's the first param, and I'm gonna leave the other ones blank. So I'm gonna paste in that blank, blank, the password and the nesting blank, and end. And I didn't choose it correct, so rest get, okay. So but that just returns something, but we need to store it somewhere. Let's add a variable to this view model just to show it on the root. I'm gonna do add variable, which means that I get one new here. Can call it that, it's a string. In here I can assign a return value to this, like this, and then I could add a generic column with the expression of the value of the new variable. So we don't get confused, I'm gonna make this a little bigger, like this. So what I want to do is to push this button, and I want to get this information in this variable. Can I do that? Well, I'm uploading the model. Check status. Like that, and then I'm gonna close it, and then I head back here, and no, that's not the place, here, and I refresh this one. So we got a new action, view consume ourselves. Right, sounds weird, but let's do it. I'm gonna press Control to get a new tab. Well, I thought I did. I'm gonna test that again. And press Control. Okay, there's something wrong with my language settings, so the Control key isn't targeted. So this is the registration number, and try and get rest, and I get the same information, right? But as you notice, this was like hard coded to one specific car, the route ID, which would mean that it doesn't really matter what car I took in here. If I took this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and consume, I would still get the FTP car because that was hard coded in here. So instead of doing this, I would like to just add the self as I'm rooted. The view was rooted in a car. External ID, like that. And in that way it would be new data for each for the rooted object. Let's try that out. Upload. And refreshing it. Okay, it wasn't done, so I'm refreshing it again. It was done. Try and get by rest, and now we see that it is updated. Now let's see what happens if I change this 7. And what should happen when I try and get by rest? Well, let's see what happens. It returns the same thing. Why? Because I haven't saved yet. So this is running in its own, this is a new query against the database, and the data that's actually in the database, not the data that this session is changing. So if I save this and then press this one, I get the 7, right? Nothing strange about that. Just important to know that the REST operations run in their own space. Okay, just to ensure that we could call anyone, let's copy this one and put it below and call it get stuff from Spotify. And I was on the Spotify developer help page finding out how to formulate a query, and I have it here. So it says query Metallica and type artist, like that. So that would assign it to the new variable as well. That will be fine. We're just testing. Uploading and refreshing. Get stuff from Spotify, and then we get a bunch of data from there. If we would want to do more advanced stuff with this, like let's see, what is the data. I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna bring it up in the most versatile tool yet ever invented, the notepad. And yeah, whatever, artists, it says it has a link with artists that goes to here, I guess. No. To here. Is this one? Well, it might not be the most brilliant tool, this notepad, anyhow. But what I want to do is to be able to read some of the things here. Like, I want to convert it to objects, and these are properties of the artist's object. So how would I go about that? Well, I could use the new operator self on self VM. That was called something with JSON to objects, and it takes a type and a string with JSON, and the type is actually what kind of root object it should create from the JSON. And let's see. And let's just say that we don't have that yet, but we have this one. It's the new variable. But we need to have somewhere where to store the data that we get. Let's add a new diagram, or rather we just do it here. Add a class data from Spotify, and a class artist that has a relation called artist. Why? Because that was what it was called in the data. So like that, and we want to get this attribute maybe, so then we need to match it with an attribute here. And items we might not care about. Let's see, how does this data it has a name. Okay, so I'm gonna add that as well. So this is the object that we will create, and then it will follow the data and create these as well. That's the general idea. So like that, data from Spotify, and take the values from there. And just to see, turn into objects, call this one. And how can we verify that it works? Add a nesting this one gonna be artist all instances, right? And it's gonna be hooked up to this one. I call this one artist, and the type will be artist as well. And we're gonna grab the properties that we have in it, href and the name, like that. So let's see how this will work out for us. Again, upload, check that we're done. Oh, now it's created the table for the artist and things like that. So no need to call the DBA today. We can manage ourselves. Opening up this one, consume ourselves and get stuff from Spotify and turn into objects, and it found the href, but it couldn't match the query Metallica offset. Let's do the same question here. The items, the images, these are only images, and then so it's all the way down here maybe. No, that's another one. Okay, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm going off screen. Okay, now I think I got it. It's the items property that holds all the results. So for this to work, we would need to actually introduce something in between here called result set, and that is the one that holds to artists, and then there would be an association here called items. This is how this data looks. So I'm gonna upload that instead. Good thing I didn't involve the DBA, because he would rip my head off, because I hadn't checked thoroughly enough before asking him to do work for me. Cancel and refresh this one. Get stuff from Spotify, turn into objects. Metallica with Ozzy Osbourne, Lou Reed. Alright, so I could choose to save these, and then I would have those objects, and that would be some kind of reference data for my system to work with, or consider to make this class transient and ask for it every time. Still, you can do anything you need with this strongly typed information once you have dereferenced it from the JSON. Right, that was the turn into objects, JSON turn into objects operator. JSON to objects. Is there anything left to show you? Yes. You will want to allow post to your own data. So what if we try and get by REST and we want to post back a new registration number, or rather you just want to post back a new registration number to update. Super fine. Let's add a variable to hold the new registration number. v new reg num. Okay, and let's add a generic column that has that expression, and let's not call it exactly the same thing as the other one because that's not allowed. And I'm gonna put it here, I'm gonna put it below, and I'm gonna make it smaller and below. Oh my god, I missed. Like that. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So I have a new registration number. Now I actually want to post that back to my, with REST post, I want to send it back to myself. So we need an action for that. And it sort of looks like this one. Update reg num from via REST post. Okay, I'm gonna change this one to REST post. I'm gonna bring up a new editor with the sub expression just to check how does it self VM REST post. It has 4 parameters, all strings: target URL, user password, name of nesting. Okay, and what it says after in the hint is adds data in nesting, and it also says that file name underscore something will upload the something column with file name from file name underscore something. So that's that's advanced. We will leave that for later. But what it says that it needs a nesting to hold the data that we're gonna post up. So assume that we call that nesting data to post, and we send that in. And then we add other nesting, and we say it's data to post, and it's of type, well, we don't care really because we're gonna add the variable, add a generic column, and in this column we're gonna use the variable v new regnum, like that. And now it's important that what we're gonna post up, we're gonna post it to this view model called edit one car. Okay, so that's edit one car, but what does it expect? Well, edit one car has these properties. This is what will be exposed as the REST, what we can set by REST. Registration number it's called, right? So we head back to the consume and we call this one registration number. No, that was wrong. Control Z. We call this one registration number. So what we say here is that do a REST post to ourselves, but this could be anywhere because we got the full URL. On the command, edit one car with the ID as ourselves, the rooted object from this view that we are in, and use data to post nesting to get data. So it will upload a multi-part REST message with at least this column, registration number, and set to the variable that we have assigned our variable. And after that it will get the return result. And how REST post works in MDriven is that it will return the complete as from get if everything is okay. So that is enough to try it out. Upload model. Check status. Done. Refresh. So now we have this registration number, and if we will get it, we should see that it's this one. And we set something else. So now our variable has the value something else. And we try to update the registration number by calling a post request back to ourselves. And seems like nothing happened. I'm going off screen. Okay, I'm back. I figured the problem out. Actually, this, when I say data to post, it's important that it's existing as a name here, so it will be found. So self and back, that is associated to the data to post. Yeah, this is small screen here. Well, yeah, this one, it goes out here and comes back here. Maybe I should do something like this to better fit on the screen. This one. That was the first error, but I did another thing wrong as well. In my URL, even if I said that it was the command REST post, which will be a post command, I actually had from the copy paste the get verb on our server. So our server thought that well, I'm not gonna post anything because this is a get, so no data was actually applied. So having fixed those things, and of course it's just common sense, when you post you need to go to the post endpoint, and when you get, you do it from the get endpoint. Once that is done and I uploaded the model with those changes, I get refresh the view like that. I can now enter something else on the registration number and update via post, and this one is returned with the registration number something number, something else I thought was, yeah, something else. So we have shown how we can expose ourselves as REST services, and we have also shown how we can update via REST services. We have shown how we can consume others, how we can consume the result, the JSON result from others to create objects in our model. And what's left? Well, one cool thing that we need to show is the ability to actually execute operations, because this becomes important if you want to do delete maybe, or some kind of complex operation on your data before returning. Actually, it's quite easy, and we saw it already because I had it in the test sample, I guess. On the one that we have enabled REST for, allow REST, edit one car, we can have actions. All actions available on the root level will actually be executed. They will be executed on gets, and they will be executed on posts. So this is important to remember. We can actually do stuff here. So remember, if I commented this out before, I'm going to comment it back again. So what it says here is that registration number should equals itself plus something. And here it says some param. And this is another important aspect, that we can send in more parameters on the command line, or on the URL as parameters, HTML parameters. So what is this? That's actually just a variable defined here via some param as a string. And that will be nothing, I guess, if we don't have a default value. Let's set the default value something, and upload model. And this reloads. Something else is the registration number. And we got this, and we didn't get the default value. Okay, let's see if I put that wrong. I can't really remember where the default value is going. I think it's going in the other one. Uploading the model off screen. Refreshing this. What happened now? Did I break it? Check status. Well, that probably wasn't a good place to have it. Let's see if everything is broke or... You see, localhost. I'm in the wrong place. Phew. Like that. Something else, something else. Oh, and apparently I shouldn't have had the asterisks. Can fix that. Like that. So the value is actually something else, but since the action executes before it returns from the get, it appends this. So this isn't actually saved. But what if I were to do the same on the post? Well, I say that the new registration number should be www and update. I sort of expected that to become yeah, never mind. Yeah. So can we change this value to something else by sending in something else on the URL? Yes, we can. And consume ourselves. And we have this place here, and we can just send in. Let's add some more parameters, and they're separated by and we call that one, well, now the short-term memory problem appears. I don't remember. What did we call it? Edit one card. We call it some param. Consume douche. Hello. So I can send in data. What? That's actually interesting. Didn't update. If anyone can help me find that error. Okay. Back here. Upload. And try and get rest. And now it's hello, because that's what we sent on the command line, or in the URL. All right, so this is a short introduction on how to work with REST interfaces, both consuming information from others and exposing information from ourselves. It's quite powerful, and you can do a lot of things, and it's good when integrating both functionality and information services into your system. Okay, thank you.